Well, good morning, Year 10. It's me again. I've just had a bit of breakfast, a BLT this morning, undervalued breakfast BLT. It's lovely. I'm here sitting in my garden, um, listening to the birds. There's the faint noise of a lawnmower in the background, and it's a pleasure to be with you today. It's a lovely, glorious day. Okay, first of all, homework last week. Really impressed by the completion rate as a group. You're doing a really good job. Sterling stuff, champion. Keep it going. All right. Just a little bit of feedback from me. Generally, the knowledge is good, but it's a three marker. One marker is for your understanding, your AO1, the answer, and then AO2, relation to the text. What we're not showing as a group is that context to a coffee shop, and we're also not showing our quotes that we should have, that link to the cafe or whatever. You could have mentioned things like lattes, menus, restaurants. Those are any issues or context that would have been relevant to the answer. Okay, so keep using your quotes and your context. Right, on to this week's topic then. We're still carrying on with working with suppliers, and we've been dealing with procurement. And there's our little definition of procurement. It's identifying the goods and services. But what we're looking at now is the delivery of it, okay? The supply chain. And we call that logistics. Logistics is the planning of the movement of resources such as labour, your workers, your supplies, your raw materials, anything that you need to provide that service. So logisticals is the planning of the movement of resources, okay, to supply a business. Just remember that, because that'll be part of your homework. Okay, so when we're ordering goods and services, this is for businesses, might I add, very similar to ourselves. Sometimes they just order self-service. You know, they could just a click on printer ink or energy that they need to buy. There's no need to go to a shop or a retail outlet. There's self-service, all about making businesses efficient. There's an e-marketplace where you could offer suppliers to tender. So a tender is when your suppliers get together and they put a deal together, which could be the prices of the raw materials that you want. It could be the quality, it could be the delivery. When I was working in industry, we had a tender with British Airways to supply them with safety gear. So the safety gear our tender included a 24-hour delivery and a 12-hour call out, and we would supply it at certain costs, and we would bill them every month. Those were the ingredients for that tender. And like us, you've got e-auctions. E-auctions sometimes are reverse. I know the fish market in Plymouth uses a reverse auction. So when the fish comes in on crates, the price starts at £30, and then there's a clock which decreases the price over time. So it'll go 15, 14, 13, and then somebody buzzes in when they're prepared to pay a certain price. So our fish industry uses e-auctions. Groceries, they all tend to use auctions. Okay, so receiving the goods, again, it's similar to us. Uh, Before Corona, we'd sign for the item, but they get delivered, usually by couriers. And when they arrive, somebody must receive that, and they sign for them to show that they've been signed. So there's that legality that they have received it. When receiving the goods, they should then be checked. You know, if you're going to hire a car, you should check it before you hire it, because if there's any scratches on it, when you take it back, you could be fined, or you could have a certain amount to pay, because it'd be deemed that you've done the damage, and then you could say, well, actually it was that like that when I had it. Well, no, you signed for it to say that it was all right. So it's really important that you check the goods before you accept them. And then once you received from the suppliers, they're sent to the right department. So if it's printer ink, it might go to admin. If it's IT, then it'll go to your IT department. If it's raw materials, it go to your operations, and so on. So let's look at the impact of good planning and good supply decisions for businesses. So the first one we're looking at is the time issue. The quicker you get something, then the less knock-on effect you have for your businesses, or for your customers, which could be businesses or could be your direct customers. So time is an issue. That's called lead time. It's the time taken from order to accepting it. That's lead time. And if you're in a fast-moving market, if we look at Amazon, they've built, you look at their Prime members with their 24-hour delivery or next delivery, where you can order it by midnight, before midnight, and get it the next day. Such a massive advantage, a competitive advantage for a business. Then we've got the supply chain, which is how that gets from business A, the manufacturer, to your business. And that supply chain needs to be reliable. If there's one chink in that chain, then the whole chain collapses. And also there should be backup plans. There should be contingencies, plan B, contingencies as plan B. And the length of the supply, the longer it is, the more risk it is and difficult it is to manage. So a short supply chain is beneficial, and savings can be made, because if you think about it, each chain would want a part of their profit. There's a middle person there, and they would want a percentage and a profit. So the smaller the chain, the more efficient, easier to manage, and cheaper it will be. And then we've got reliability. If your supplier lets you down, the customer doesn't see that. The customer just sees that you've let them down, and they will go to your competitors. Loss of market share, loss of profit. A lot of information today, I apologise for that, but it's just stuff we've got to get through, and it's content that we'll need to do, and we can consolidate this with a knowledge organizer later on, maybe in a couple of weeks. Was something to look forward to, eh? Right, reliability, we've talked about that. It's that trust in our relationship, that dialogue. If you've got a good supplier, keep them, look after them, because they are. We talked about cost in terms of trying to get the best deal. If you do a tender and the price is too high, then you might go with somebody else. But again, you've got to be wary that you don't lower your quality or lower your reliability. Cheaper isn't always better. We want somebody to deliver your goods in an efficient way. You can trust them, and you've got that long-lasting relationship. So cost is a factor, but it's not everything. And then customer service. Good customer service, you get loyalty, you get repeat business. To keep that customer over many years is, it's instrumental to your survival as a business. And hopefully some of those businesses now who are struggling with Corona and unable to supply, when they do open, hopefully their customers will stay loyal to them. Because if you get a good, efficient supply chain, which is reliable, cost effective, then that's going to be passed on to your customers. So that supply chain is crucial to that customer service, customer satisfaction, which could then lead to profit. So there's your impact chain, your AO3, which is what we've talked about in the past. Oh, very wordy today, but it's stuff we've got to get through. I'm sorry it wasn't a little bit more engaging, but you've got your content, and feel free to re-watch that. There's a homework which will be on Show My Homework. We've done a lot of analysing. We're going to consolidate and do a little bit of knowledge and definitions. Good luck with that. Drop me an email if there's any issues, and stay safe and take care.